Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Zhenghai was prepared to be punished. After all, he had summoned his courage to say what was on his mind. Even if his master had hit him, he would not complain. Based on the years he had spent with his master, he knew very well how unreasonable his master could be. Let alone speaking boldly, his master viewed something as trivial as his disciples' differing opinions and defiance as disrespectful. He had kowtowed out of fear and respect toward his master and also in hopes that master would listen to the words he had to say. Zhou looked at Zhenghai, who was still on the ground. He shook his head and said, "Get up and talk." "I dare not. I've already said what needed to be said." "If you want to continue kneeling then be my guest," Zhou said. Upon hearing Zhou's words, Zhenghai looked up before he rose to his feet. He'll only do the exact opposite of what he's told. His stubbornness hasn't changed since he was a child. Zhou was aware that Tiandao never liked to reason with others. Tiandao preferred to persuade others with his fists. Indeed, using the fist could solve many problems. However, there were things that could not be solved by using fists. Zhou looked at Zhenghai. Although Zhenghai tried his best to maintain his composure, he found it difficult to breathe after he rose to his feet. This conversation brought with it immense pressure. To think the sect master of the Nether Sect was feeling nervous at this moment. Enough. Zhou waved his sleeve and walked in another direction. A man should bleed. Those who aren't garrulous aren't fit to be a disciple of the evil sky pavilion. How are you going to take down the divine capital like this? Zhenghai trembled when he heard Zhou's words. He hurried after Zhou and asked tentatively, "Master, you agree?" Zhou walked as he said, "I've always kept my word." 6 months. You have less than 1 month left. I'll punish you when the time comes. Zhenghai was delighted. He bowed and said, "In that case, I have one request, Master." "What is it?" "Now that the 9 provinces are under the Nether Sect's control, if it's possible, I hope that nobody from the evil sky pavilion will meddle in this matter," Zhenghai said. Zhou stopped walking. He turned to look at Zhenghai and asked, "Are you confident?" "Naturally. I have 7th junior brother," Zhenghai said, "nothing is for sure in the world. I hope you'll agree to this, Master." Zhou did not reply immediately. Instead, he continued walking forward. Shortly after, he arrived in front of a huge boulder. The character Hai was etched on it. He pointed at the Hai and asked, "You carved this all those years ago. Do you remember it?" The character was messy and slanted to the side. It had been eroded by time and weather, and yet, it was still clearly visible. Zhenghai replied with a smile, "I remember." Zhou stood still as he faced Zhenghai and slowly said, "You're the eldest, and it's only natural for you to shoulder everything. I hope the iron rule of the evil sky pavilion will be forever engraved in your heart just like this word." Zhenghai fell to one knee again. "Fellow disciples shall not fight amongst each other. I would never dare to forget this." The character on the huge rock reminded Zhenghai of the time he cultivated here. How fast time flew. In just a blink of an eye, 300 years had passed. The trees and plants were lush and verdant now. Everything had changed. Wind caressed Zhou's beard. Although the reversal cards had made him much younger, his appearance was still that of an old man. Zhou looked at Zhenghai and said, "Zhenghai." "Yes, Master. I was you, and you would become me someday. If yesterday were to happen again, what would you do?" When Zhenghai heard the question, he was stunned. Zhou did not wait for an answer. He waved his sleeve and left. The back of the mountain fell silent. Before he knew it, it was deep into the night. After a long pause, Zhenghai murmured, "If I were given a chance to start over, I'd do it all over again." At the midpoint of the Evil Sky Pavilion's mountain. Ming-Shirin was sending you Zhenghai down the mountain at this moment. He asked, eldest senior brother. How was the chat? What did I tell you? Master is much gentler compared to the past, right? Yu Zhenghai did not reply to Ming-Shirin's questions. Instead, he kept walking down the mountain as he took in his surroundings. Ming-Shirin felt bored. He usually sped down the mountain and had never taken the time to admire the boring scenery. Walking down the mountain at this pace truly annoyed him. The scenery around himself. Ming-Shirin felt flustered as he walked. Old Fourth, I heard Master recruited a new little junior sister, is that right? Ming-Shirin nodded and said, yes. That little girl directly entered the mystic enlightening realm. 5 months later, she's already in the late stage of the sense condensing realm. She's even more baffling than 9th junior sister. Oh. No wonder Master accepted her as a disciple, Yu Zhenghai said. Even if Master didn't accept her, the other sects would have fought to recruit her. Yu Zhenghai asked skeptically, this little girl has no relationship with Master? What do you mean, eldest senior brother? Why do you ask when you know what I mean? I don't. Forget it. A moment later, Yu Zhenghai and Ming-Shirin finally arrived at the foot of the mountain. They passed through the barrier. Yu Zhenghai said, Old Fourth, look after Master for me. Wow, I never thought you'd be concerned over another person, eldest senior brother. What? Oh, I mean. I'll certainly look after him. Don't worry, eldest senior brother. Ming-Shirin said. Yu Zhenghai pushed away from the ground and left through the air. He vanished in the night sky in an instant. After Yu Zhenghai left, Ming-Shirin hastily patted his chest and said, phew, that was close, so close. Fortunately, I wasn't exposed. As soon as Ming-Shirin finished speaking, a disapproving voice rang from behind a nearby tree. It's nothing but a hypocritical show of affection. Ming-Shirin shuddered. He looked in the direction of the voice and said, second senior brother? Why are you here? Old Fourth, why didn't you contact me when something so serious happened in the Evil Sky Pavilion? Yu Shangrong asked. Ming-Shirin cursed silently in his heart. He immediately felt that life was hard and fraught with hardships. He would be beaten to death if he said his second senior brother was now weak, right? Second senior brother, your movements have always been unpredictable. I couldn't get a hold of you. Master once complained that you never wrote back. That's why I contacted eldest senior brother. When Yu Shangrong heard this, his frown faded. He nodded and said, I've blamed you wrongly. That's all right. If anything like this ever happens again, you must tell me right away, Yu Shangrong said. Of course. When Ming-Shirin saw that Yu Shangrong was leaving, he hastily called out, second senior brother, aren't you going to reset in the Evil Sky Pavilion? No. I have something else to attend to. Yu Shangrong left in the air as soon as he finished speaking. Safe journey, second senior brother. Ming-Shirin, who had learned from his previous experience, ran back into the barrier and returned to the Evil Sky Pavilion after seeing Yu Shangrong off. Early the next morning. Zhou opened his eyes. He gauged the state of meditation of his extraordinary power. He could clearly feel that the pace of his meditation for the extraordinary power had increased. Similarly, his capacity to store extraordinary power had also increased. However, it still took him 5 to 7 days to completely replenish his extraordinary power. Zhou did not continue meditating on the heavenly writing scrolls. Instead, he got up and looked at the old parchment drawing. When he saw that there were no new areas, he returned to the rush cushion. He studied the system. After its upgrade, his extraordinary power had improved, and he had obtained a new power. He did not have any extraordinary power to test the power before this. Now that he had accumulated some, he decided to give it a try. He recited the chant for the first heavenly writing inwardly, to gain the power to hear everything so that we can hear voices in all realms at will. As expected, soft voices entered his ears. Master has emerged from his cultivation and seclusion. He'll be examining his disciples' progress soon. This isn't something to be taken lightly. In the past, anyone who didn't pass was first beaten until he was half dead before being tossed into a room to reflect, Zhu Honggong said. What? But the pavilion master doesn't seem like a violent person. A few of the female cultivators said in shock. This is why you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Do you think I'm a fool? Zhu Honggong sighed helplessly. Well, I guess I am. I can't help it. I'm born with this brain, after all. The female cultivators laughed. Listening to you trumps reading for 10 years, Mr. 8th. As expected, Lu Zhou discovered the first power of the Earth Scroll had something to do with hearing. Let's see if I can hear something else. At the moment, Lu Zhou was not using much extraordinary power. Moreover, he did not expand the range of the technique as well. With just a thought, he increased the range of his hearing, effectively using more heavenly power compared to before. A voice entered his ears again. Super heaven grade? High void. Let's look for an opportunity to cultivate with it. Or maybe, I can use it to strengthen my separation hook. It's too difficult to cultivate. I wonder if Master has an idea. No, wait, I think Master has forgotten about this sword. I must keep it hidden. If Master asks, I'll just say that it's lost. I'm a fucking genius. You bastard. However, I really forgot about High Void. Lu Zhou decided to deal with his disciple later. He used more extraordinary power, and the range of his hearing increased again. This time, he heard the sounds of things being flung in the air against the roar of a waterfall. He decided that it must be Duanmu Sheng who was practicing with his spear. I can always count on Old Third to work diligently. Just when Lu Zhou was about to expand the range again, he felt lethargy coursing through his body and into his mind. Lu Zhou stopped using the power. It consumes so much power? Although it only took up 1/6 of his current capacity of extraordinary power, that was enough to instantly kill a 7-leaf elite. He did not expect his extraordinary power to be depleted so soon. This was a useful power, but it used up too much of the extraordinary power. He would have to be careful with its usage in the future. Lu Zhou called out, "Anyone there?" "Your orders, Pavilion Master?" A voice rang from the other side of the door. "Summon the evil Sky Pavilion disciples to the Eastern Pavilion." Understood. Soon after, Duanmu Sheng, Mingxirin, Zhao Yu, Zhu Honggong, Xia Yuan, and Kong entered the Eastern Pavilion and stood in a neat line. Pan Zhong and Zhou Jifeng were not Lu Zhou's disciples, so they could only stand outside and watch on with envy. They would learn whatever they could from this position. Yi Tianxin, who was still recuperating from her injuries, were excluded from the test. Creak. The door swung open slowly. Lu Zhou crossed the threshold with his hands on his back and swept his eyes past all the disciples gathered there. "Greetings, Master." His disciples bowed. Lu Zhou's gaze fell on Mingxirin first. "Old Fourth." "Yes, Master." Mingxirin stepped forward with an ingratiating and excited expression on his face. "Bring me High Void." "Huh?" Mingxirin shuddered. "I'll only say it once." "I won't repeat myself," Lu Zhou said in a low voice, but his expression remained calm. Despite Lu Zhou's seemingly calm expression, Mingxirin shuddered. He was on the verge of tears. It seemed like he could not keep that matter hidden at all. "I'll go get it right away." Mingxirin returned to the southern pavilion and brought High Void over. He carried it respectfully and presented it to his master. Everyone looked at High Void in awe. A heaven-grade weapon was already something that cultivators longed to possess, let alone a super heaven-grade weapon. Lu Zhou picked High Void up and examined it. The red veins did not seem like it was engraved on the sword. They seemed to have been forged at the same time as the swords. The veins could even withstand his extraordinary power. It was clearly special. Lu Zhou placed 2 fingers on it. Primal chi surged into the broken sword, and it buzzed. Unfortunately, because of the damage on the formation veins, it did not glow red. Without the support of the red veins, the grade of this sword dropped as well. Zhou joined the two sides of the broken blade together and circulated his primal chi again. Bzzzt. The red veins shone. However, it was only a faint glow. Master, we should try to mend the super heaven grade weapon since it's a treasure, Zhu Honggong said. Old Eighth's right. Master, isn't the Luo Sect's Lu Ping skilled in forging? We can just let him mend it, Duanmu Sheng chimed in. I don't think Lu Ping can do it. These formation veins aren't made by a normal person. He's only a six-leaf cultivator. He won't be able to do it, Mingxirin refuted Duanmu Sheng's suggestion. At this moment, Zhou looked at Mingxirin and asked, do you have a way? No, Mingxirin said with a bow. Place it in the pavilion, Zhou said. Understood. If they did not have a way now, it did not mean that they would not have a way in the future. Mingxirin brought High Void into the eastern pavilion, feeling a slight heartache from having to part with it. Then, he obediently returned to his position with the others. The others looked at him. Old Eighth, Zhou said. Yes, Master, Zhu Honggong replied. How's your cultivation base? I'm proud to say that I didn't let you down, Master. After 5 months of painstaking cultivation, I'm now in the two-leaf nascent divinity realm. I've sprouted another leaf. I didn't have any experience with sprouting leaves before, Zhu Honggong said, clearly proud of himself. Master, look. Zhu Honggong flipped his palm, and a two-leaf golden lotus avatar appeared above his palm. The others nodded. If a cultivator above the two-leaf stage severed his lotus and recultivated, sprouting one leaf over the span of 5 months was slightly slow. However, Zhu Honggong's speed was rather fast. Zhu Honggong recalled his avatar and awaited his master's praise. Alas, Zhou merely stroked his beard and said, 20 strokes and 3 days of reflection in the cave of reflection. Zhu Honggong. The others were stunned. They felt chills running up their spines immediately. The old master was back. He was strict and merciless. If Zhu Honggong, with his fast cultivation speed, was punished, then what hope did the rest of them have? This is bad. What are you waiting for? Zhou asked. Zhu Honggong replied at once, I'll remember your teachings, Master. I'll work harder next time. I'll accept my punishment right away. Ding. Instructed Zhu Honggong. Reward, 200 merit points. Zhou's gaze fell on Zhao Yu and asked, what about you? Zhao Yu's heart skipped a beat. She replied nervously, I'm dumb and I'm only almost at the two-leaf stage. Not bad. Keep up the good work. Thud. Zhu Honggong fell on his face before he stepped out of the door. Mr. Eighth, are you all right? I'm fine, the floor is uneven. Zhu Honggong stifled his sobs and left the eastern pavilion with a miserable expression on his face. The others sighed inwardly. At this moment, Duanmu Sheng stepped forward and said, Master, I've cultivated painstakingly for 5 months and my cultivation base is now at the 3-leaf stage. Please have a look, Master. Whiz. Duanmu Sheng had recultivated to the 3-leaf stage after he severed his lotus. The others looked at Duanmu Sheng's avatar in shock. Indeed, there was no lotus under the avatar's feet. There were only 3 leaves spinning around it. Zhou stroked his beard and nodded. He said, not bad. You can take it easy with your spear techniques for now. Focus on sprouting leaves. Yes, Master. Ding. Instructed Duanmu Sheng. Reward, 200 merit points. Zhou returned his gaze to Mingxirin. Mingxirin wore an awkward expression on his face as he scratched his head. Then, he fell to his knees without any prompting and said, Master. Just punish me. You didn't sever your lotus? Zhou asked. I think it's enough to be an 8-leaf cultivator. Why must we attempt the 9-leaf stage, anyway? I don't have such ambitions. Living as an 8-leaf cultivator for 1,000 years and spend my life keeping you company are good enough for me. The others rolled their eyes. Ming Yin's flattering words were not inferior to Zhu Honggong. Lu Zhou nodded and said, to each his own. I won't force you. Thank you, master. You're perceptive even of the finest detail. You're the light on my path. Enough. Lu Zhou waved his hand. The others were puzzled. Isn't he going to be punished for being shameless? Why was old Eighth punished, then? Yuan. Lu Zhou looked at little Yuan. Before Conk joined the pavilion, the world was of the opinion that the youngest disciple of the Evil Sky Pavilion had the most monstrous talent for cultivation. How much did she improve in these 5 months? Everyone else looked at her expectantly.